Hello, Cheers TV. I'm Si Leslie, and I've got Gordy here on the other end. How you doing, mate?
Been better, as I'm sure we all have. We'll get into it. On the whole, I'm all right. I'm always all right as a person, but just slowly, the Rangers is just slowly draining the energy week on week at the moment. But apart from that, all right, thanks.
I think it's fair to say that we didn't really get shocked with last night because it's been such a shit show in the last few months that nothing really surprised us. It should have, but being honest, it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the worst thing. I don't want to plug the website too much throughout this show, but I've actually just we have just released an article on the website, justtv.co.uk, and what we've mentioned in that article is that even the last couple of seasons when elite performances haven't been great, you always had that kind of Thursday night to look forward to. You always thought, even though, might draw away at Love Street or, get beat at home to whoever, lose at Pittodrie, but the next week you'd always look forward to the Thursday night because there was something special about Rangers on a Thursday night.
Yeah,
and we always had that hope and almost expectation, actually, to be honest. But now that seems to have gone as well. And yeah, as you say, Si, quite rightly, I don't think MD expected us to win last night. And that's the worst thing about against a fairly average team.
Yeah, well, they're probably the two weakest teams in that group, except for myself, and the two of them easily beat us. Now, I've seen a few comments on Facebook and social media with people saying we played all right at parts of the game. It was a good second half. On this channel, we always call a spade a spade. It was a bucket of shit. It was absolute garbage. We played all right for small spells in the game. Since Russell Martin's been a manager, I don't think we've dominated any game for 90 minutes. It's way below par. And I genuinely believe the last 3 or 4 Rangers managers would all have got results in the last 2 European ties that we had. It's only going to get harder now because the teams that we're facing, the next one's Brann away.
Brann away, top of Norway, yeah.
Yeah, which won't be easy, fair distance to travel. And I don't see Rangers get any points out of this group the way it's standing just now. I personally believe that the only way we can fix this is making big changes. I know that the American owners don't want to make the changes. Maybe they see it too early, but the fans are way beyond having enough. We saw a reaction this morning in the social media. The fans are confronting Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, and Patrick Stewart's saying to the fans, who would you pick as a manager? Well, that's not the job of the support. That's why they're paid mega bucks, and so far they've failed. I wouldn't trust them in the future, Gordy, to be part of that selection process.
Yeah, mate, can't disagree with anything you've said there. Yeah, it's almost getting to the point where we're saying the same thing. We're seeing the same performances, the same goals getting scored against us, the same poor first halves, and as you said about dominating games, like we played better in the second half. We did play better in the second half. However, we were so poor in the first half that it looks better than it is.
It was a low bar. Yep.
See, exactly. Well, so when we're comparing our second half performance to the first half performance, it is night and day. But that second half performance would be, over the last couple of seasons, would be the absolute bare minimum I'd expect Rangers to perform in Europe.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't see it. I don't see with the support. I'm fully behind the support with this. I don't see it changing. I just cannot see how we can change this under Russell Martin and any of the leadership. Obviously, you've saw the appointments of Thelwell's son, Thelwell's pal, and it looks like a guy from Man United's coming in. Things that concern me, Gordy, right? I don't remember any of these positions being advertised. Where were they advertised? I've contacted Patrick Stewart. You might remember we done a big open letter to him last 28 days ago. He never replied. He's no reply to this. I'm just wondering, can anybody tell me this? Where were these jobs advertised and who applied for them? Because we were told when the new regime came in that they were only going to go for the best candidates for all roles. Well, if these guys are the best, who were the other candidates? When did they apply? I don't believe a word that they're saying anymore. This is jobs for the boys.
Yeah, and part of the issue we've had with various Rangers boards over the last kind of 10 to 20 years is the issue of transparency. and we've been wondering how decisions are made, when they're made, who makes them, etc. And yeah, I mean, it seems strange that we would wait until after the transfer window. First of all, it seems strange we wait until after the transfer window closes to make these changes with the scouting department, right? And that's for me. That's the first issue I've got with that, right? That's by the by. Second issue, as you've alluded to, Si, is now it is normal for a club to have a chief scout or a head scout, right? That's a normal position for a football club to have.
Yeah.
However, there must be. I mean, there's two issues with it. Yes, the jobs for the boys issue, but are we? And second of all, the other issue for me is that why are we not casting our net wider for talent elsewhere, apart from the tried and tested of what Patrick Stewart and Thelwell know in their past? For me, that stinks of a lack of imagination. A lack of knowledge of the world market as well.
That's why I'm saying to you, I would like to know if they're saying that they've done this scouting the football world for these people, then they'll be able to prove that to the support, and they won't, because it looks quite obvious that they've picked people who they've worked with before or they know.
Yeah, and if both Patrick Stewart and Thelwell had an amazing track record, then you might give them benefit of the doubt, but. Thelwell's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much the Everton fans actually rated him. Not greatly, probably average at best, I think, given what we've read and what we've seen. He presided over some monumentally bad signings at Everton. And Everton, now with Moyes back in charge and other people in charge of Everton, are up towards the top half of the league again. So that tells its own story for me, really. And his son has come from, I think he had a season at Norwich, again, Russell Martin connection there with Norwich. And he wasn't like, he wasn't even like, I think his position was first team technical scout.
Aye, so he wasn't even in charge of that department.
Yeah, so it's a big step up for a 26-year-old, to be the head. So that means that all Rangers scouts and Everton, loans, scouts, young players and all that, they all go to him, and then he decides who to recommend to the manager. Now, there might be a bit more to it than that, but that's fundamentally his job, to go through all the different scout reports, to manage all the scouts, to go through all the scout reports, and then take the scout's recommendation, filter them down to what he thinks are the best ones, get into the manager. Now, that's my understanding of the role. Okay? I don't think that's that far wide of the mark, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, if I'm proved right with this, I don't mind, but 26 years old, he's hardly got any life experience, never mind experience for this job. And to go from Norwich to Rangers, it's a massive leap. It's a different class of player, it's a different expectation, and the pressure, as we know, and we've watched the videos this morning, the pressure's enormous. And I don't think any of the leaders look like leaders. I don't think Patrick Stewart looks like a leader, he looks like a wimp. Thelwell, I'll give him his due, at least he did speak to the supporters, but he just looks like a car salesman to me. And the jobs for the boys stuff that's happening now, and also that some of these jobs, I think they've been created. I don't think they existed. Some of the roles that these guys are getting put in. It's a major concern for me.
I can't. His name escapes me, but we did talk about it the other night. The other boy for Everton,
Purdy.
That seems to the data analysis guy or something. He's come up for Everton as well. And I don't mean the chief scout or the head scout is not in that position, but the other guy's position is, one of these positions where you go, well, well, what does that even mean? So
I mean, a couple of years ago, with guys like John Brown and all that at the club, what they were doing is scouting and looking for talent. And one of the things I met Bomber last week outside Ibrox, I've known him for years. One of the things he said to me is one of the big things he done when he was scouting players was he found out if they had the mentality, because it wouldn't matter if they had the ability. If they didn't have the mentality to be a Rangers player, they were no good.
Yeah, and I think we're going to come on to that word in a wee minute. I just want to type a couple of points from this about Thelwell and the scouting, etc. We spent a fortune on a lot of players from England this season. already. We can talk about somebody in the future and talk about them in the past, but we won't go into too much detail there. £8 million.
Yeah.
As we spoke about last night, you and I, Fernandez for the best part of $4 million. Asgard for the championship, various other players as well. And that's and I think Jay's made this point in the show a few times as well to give him his reference point as well. That's an overinflated market when it comes to transfer fees and wages. And with the appointment of Thelwell's son, that's the primary focus of our market. It's got to be, because that's a market these guys know. And
most of these players most of the ones that you're mentioning, these players that have been brought in as well, none of them look mentally capable of playing for a club like Rangers.
Yeah, and it's all very well, playing the championship and whatnot, whatever. And the championship's actually a good level. I would argue that apart from Rangers and Celtic, the championship's a much stronger level than the SPL. That, for me, that's a fact, a common sense fact. However, as you've said, Si, there's a difference between playing for Peterborough, Blackburn, Norwich, whoever you're playing for, right? And, all these teams. And where the expectation, the expectation at Rangers is you win every game. And over the last few years, and I don't necessarily blame Martin for all this season, but there has been a continuous decline of that expectation over the last few years. And it's now manifesting itself with Martin. Martin's not helping himself at all, so don't think I'm making excuses for Martin, so I'm really not. But it's just that we are scouting these players, we're buying these players, and Martin's referenced every week now the mentality. So what due diligence as the scouting department or the management team when they come to Ibrox for talks, what due diligence or what tests are they going through with the team or the players to find out if they've got that mentality before they sign? And if they're not doing it, why are they not doing it?
If they're not doing it, they're failing, because either two of the big teams in Glasgow would be a massive change of expectations and lifestyle. You can't walk about the city here. You can't drink in certain restaurants and bars or whatever. And you have to have a mental toughness. But just to go back to what you said there, Gordy, I think the blame, whatever you want to call it, starts and ends with Patrick Stewart. I think it's been an absolutely disastrous appointment. Now, round about a year ago, Patrick Stewart came to Rangers and he done a 6 weeks investigation into the footballing operations and 6 months operation to the footballing operations and the commercial operations of the club. What was the results of that? I don't think we ever get the full breakdown yet. But whatever the results are, it's the same crap that's going on now as was going on before it, if no worse.
Well, I'll tell you the results of it.
Aye, on you go.
5 away defeats in a row, and 5 European defeats in a row. One league win all season. The worst start to the season in our history. The worst consecutive losing a goal record, not getting a clean sheet in our history.
Yeah.
Millions of pounds wasted away in stupid transfers, and the questionable appointment of various people throughout the setup at Rangers. That's the result of his 6-month football. Well, I can't remember the exact term he used for it, but it was, as you say, it was a football it was an operational investigation into everything at the club, and everything we've seen this season is a direct result of that. It has to be, because that's what he did up until June, and the results are now what they are. So that's my opinion. That's the results of this big, 6-month investigation.
So that's the point I'm making. I'm in no way whatsoever defending Russell Martin. I really don't like the guy as a manager. But I've said that for day one, as you know. Maybe I was kind of accused of not giving him a chance, but I just had a horrible feeling when I seen him coming in, his appearance and his attitude. But this, to me, is worse than just Martin. I think, without a doubt, until they get somebody in that's capable of running the club, and that man is definitely no Patrick Stewart. I actually think the fans should be focusing more attention on Stewart more. The whole thing has been a disaster from the start, from even culturally. I'm not really going into it now, but the support, I've never felt so disillusioned and so far apart from the club. The social media stuff that you see, it's almost as if they're gaslighting us. They don't have any identity with the support. They have no communications unless you're a millionaire. They don't want to meet fans. They don't want to address issues. Everything seems to be behind the scenes. You don't need to know about it because you're not a football man.
Yeah.
And everything's getting worse. Everything I can think of at the club just now is getting worse at a rapid rate. The support's declined as well. And I say declined, the people are still wanting to go to games, they're still travelling, but they're not getting into Ibrox, and there's less away fans going. And that's only because their heart's broken with this. This is, people only choosing to go to football because it's an easy choice. It's a last resort. I don't see it getting any better under Patrick Stewart. I think we have to go for him.
And with everything in life, there's what you call, a cause and a symptom. So, the cause of Rangers' decline at the moment is Patrick Stewart and the board, the directors. That's the cause. That's the cause. Sorry.
Yeah.
The symptom. Russell Martin's only a symptom right now. Russell Martin's not probably the main problem at the club. He's a big part of it. Yeah, I grant you, but he was appointed by the board. He was appointed by Patrick Stewart to lead the club, and it's
so that was another failure.
It's evident to everyone that it's not working out, and it must. Now, some of the stuff you get, Russell Martin has to go through. I wouldn't want to end it to go through that in life, right? That's the reality of football club like Rangers. That is, it's not nice sometimes, but that's the reality. And Russell Martin knew that when he took the job. Russell Martin would know deep down if results didn't go his way, that would happen. So he's not coming into it, blindsided or anything like that. He knows the reality of managing a club like Rangers. He's chosen to do that. But the very fact he was given the opportunity in the first place, and then given him tens of millions of pounds to spend, as a mistake. And I've got a quick question for you, just to people say that it's sacking a manager. You can't afford to sack a manager, right? We've now lost 900,000 in prize money for the 2 Europa League games. Now, under another manager, would we have qualified against Bruges? You never know, okay? But let's just assume we wouldn't have, okay, for this segment. 900,000 in prize money alone, plus 10,000 unsold tickets for Genk. That's £400,000. So that's 1.3 million. Now we've got a fact where there's 3 more home games in Europe with 10,000 unsold tickets as of yet, which is 30,000 tickets unsold over the 3 games. Times 40, that's another 1.2 million. So that's the best part of £2.5 million that we're, plus the potential prize money for another 6 games in Europe, which we could potentially lose out on purely because of what's on the field right now. So the question is for me, and everything to do with it, the merchandise, the TV money, the pie, even the pie sales, the programme sales, the hospitality, everything to do with it. Like the whole, it's not just a ticket sales, it's the whole thing, the whole package, right? So it's more than that. So for me, the question is fast becoming, it's not a case of can we afford to sack the manager? Can we afford not to sack the manager? And that's the question that's now in my mind.
Right, I did speak about this last week. You might remember it. It's £2 million to buy him out. To me, it's a no-brainer. But I go back to what I'm saying: it's buying him out. You need to get rid of these coaches, his assistant manager. You need to get everybody that he's brought in is a loser. None of them have got a track record of winning. None of them have got a Rangers kind of expectation, what you would want for a Rangers official. You need to get rid of the new director of football, Thelwell. You need to get rid of that, but you need to take one step at a time. But I think to get rid of this problem, you need to get rid of all 3 of the main guys. But first of all, the manager. Let me put a question back to you, Gordy. Have you ever known in your lifetime a manager at Rangers being criticised by ex-managers? Now, McCoy's has done it, quite rightly so, and Philippe Clement's done it. Clement done a tweet last week. He deleted it. Maybe he felt he shouldn't have done it, but he done it. And their points are all right. I've never seen this, and the reason I've seen it, this is beyond parody. This is real concern in football. The tactics, to say that this was nothing to do with tactics, that defeat last night. We've been chatting all morning and on my WhatsApp group about this. The 2 goals that we lost were criminal, but the goals that we lose every week are criminal. I meant to check a stat. How many times have you been 2-0 down in the last 6 months? Probably more times than not.
I would say probably about. I mean, this season you're talking Bruges twice. Pilsen, we equalised with Pilsen, so Bruges twice, Hearts at home. Obviously last night as well. That's 4 off the top of my head. I think
last season we went about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We're going to every week was 2-0 down.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
We've not fixed the defence. The defence has not been fixed. We can kid ourselves on and say it's a wee bit better. We're getting told it's mentality. There was also, you were with me last night. We were watching it. Derek Cornelius, I thought was a really honest interview when he basically, because we were kind of laughing about it later. We were laughing, going, he's kind of saying that nobody was shouting at half time and nobody was angry. That's incredible. Can you imagine the days of the 9-0 team? Guys like Ian Durant, Ian Ferguson, McCoy's.
I can imagine what was Smith, Archie Knox.
Everybody, even Jimmy Bell, everybody at the club would be going ape shit. And we're getting told that wasn't really that rowdy at half time. That new style of management does not suit Rangers Football Club, and it never will suit us. There's too much passion and too much involved.
Yeah. Just to pivot back to what you were saying about, what Russell Martin's saying about mentality and tactics, those 2 goals were a direct result of poor tactics and poor setup at set pieces. And, I've sent you a picture this morning. If you look back, there's 6 Sturm Graz players surrounding our players with throw-in, and not one of our players has got the wherewithal or the football intelligence to create space for himself. That's a coaching issue. That is 100% a coaching issue. That is a coaching thing. Okay, and it's not only a coaching thing, it's a basic of football. Taking a throw-in if you think about what happens throughout the game, the majority, the majority of set pieces, you call them a set piece, call it set play, whatever you like, it's throw-ins. That's the biggest kind of thing that happens throughout the game.
So the biggest problem I've got with what you're saying here is about 2 or 3 minutes after that happened, we done the same bloody thing again.
I know, it's incredible, but that's a coaching issue. And you take the second goal. Now there's a picture with the entire Rangers team standing in a row, standing in a line, the exact point at the exact part of the pitch. They've been coached to do that. That's a direct instruction from the management team to stand at that exact point of the pitch. Now, it could he could be right in saying it's a mentality thing, concentration thing when you switch off for the pass. So he's kind of almost getting there with that, which is fair enough. However, the fact remains that the overall, as I say, cause and symptom, the cause of that goal, the symptom was a pass through the middle where the Rangers defence switch off, right? But the cause of that goal was there was no need for such a high line. The free kicks at the halfway line. Almost.
And, let's change it to the other half, the second half. I'll go back to Livingston first of all, right, and a few other games. The best football that we played all season, which isn't much, is like 2 or 3 minutes of football, and it's been when the plan has been thrown out the window. Every man for themselves, Butland up front. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. Getting the winner against Livy and things like that. Everything's been when basically like there's no plan anymore, just charge. So every time we've looked off decent.
Yeah, desperate. I mean,
and also the other thing is, see a proper manager, in my opinion. See when they get it wrong, they come out as a leader. It's my fault. I got it wrong.
Yeah.
But he's blaming the fans and he's blaming the players, because when he goes on about pressure and he goes on about the atmosphere and things like that, he's blaming supporters. Supporters that are paying a fortune.
So I'm going to reference 2 things. Yeah, I'm going to reference 2 things to back you up on that, what you're saying there. Jose Mourinho, after a defeat, he it's a circus with Mourinho because he protects his players. It's a deliberate thing. He protects his players. He does it all the time. And even, I don't want to talk about the other team in Glasgow.
It makes his players feel special. That's correct, eh?
Yeah. And the other team last night is, they were totally outclassed and outplayed by another average team. But all people are talking about is that the VAR decision, which we don't want to talk about here. But it's just a quick point that those are the 2 examples of where the team or the club take away the pressure and take away responsibility for the players on themselves and on other things like the manager or the officials. And it works because it takes the spotlight off the players. Whereas the first thing our manager does is say, nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. It's the players, it's the board, it's the fans. And it's not the tactics. But those 2 goals last night the cause of those 2 goals were a direct result of poor tactics and poor coaching. And I'm an armchair fan. If I can see that, then I don't know how anybody else can. I don't know how someone like Russell Martin can't. Or maybe he does, and he's just too narcissistic to admit it.
Stephen Presley is a very, very average manager. He's seen through the tactics and combated them easily. The Bruges manager, forgot his name, clearly stated when out to beat Rangers. And these other teams are not even good enough to be classed as great managers or anything else. They've all seen through the tactics. We're only going to get harder in this European competition with teams like Roma. And they could, I mean, Bruges could have scored a lot more goals against us. Martin should have been sacked at half time in that game. When back to what you're saying about guys like Mourinho and proper leaders when they take the blame rather than their players, the Rangers support would never turn on a guy like that. Do you know why? Because he's a leader. They get behind. They get behind leaders in bad times. But he's blaming everybody. He's blamed the supporters. He's blamed the. I'm surprised he never blamed the pitch last night. The biggest problem last night was his tactics, the way we were set up, the concentration levels, which again, losing a goal in 6 minutes, that's the manager's fault to me, because at some point it has to stop, and it doesn't look like stopping. We've got Falkirk on Sunday, a plastic pitch, a team with nothing to lose, a rowdy wee stadium, no bad support, and a team that will just basically hit Rangers with everything because they've got nothing whatsoever to lose in that game. If they get beat 2-0, well, so be it. But if they can get half an hour into the game and they've not lost a goal, you would fancy them to take a point or more.
Look, you've hit the nail on the head a few minutes ago, and I'll expand on it myself for a wee minute after that. The only time we've played well is when the tactics are thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm. Aye.
What does that tell you? Aye. I mean, what does that tell you? That in itself is a major thing. And on top of that as well, I looking at Henry Falkirk, etc. as well. We start every week. We start slowly, and that's the cause of our downfall. So if Falkirk get ahead, then they'll go 10 men behind the ball. We prove every week we struggle to score anyway. I don't want to keep going on about it, but every week it gets worse. 2 goals in 16 games for our strikers. That's an average of 1 every 8 games from our strikers.
Yeah, that leads me to a point. I remember this today, Gordy, when I was taking the dogger walk, so I don't want to forget it again. I'm totally against playing with a false number 9, right? Totally against it. Yeah. But see the way that Russell Martin plays football, what is the point of having a number 9? Realistically, what is the point of having one when you're going to give him no service whatsoever?
Yeah, and when I say these stats, I mean, yes, it's the strikers finishing that's poor, but again, that can be worked on in the training ground. Again, that's a coaching issue for the most part, because if you've got good coaches, good attacking technical coaches, you can train people to finish better. You can have training drills where they aim for corners of the net. Didn't he look him on? I think he had one chance and he shot straight in the keeper's, straight at the keeper.
But you can't blame the coaching, you can't blame the tactics, you can't blame the manager.
Yeah.
There's only one person to blame, and that's the manager.
And for first half, for the first half last night, the tactics seemed to be give the ball to Gassam and see what he can do. For vast parts of the game, Antman was out by himself and never really received the ball. And starting to feel sorry for something like Antman, because he's going to become. I can see in a few weeks' time Antman becoming a bit of a scapegoat, but he's not been given the chance. It was like I always remember something like Ryan Kent. He started to become a scapegoat for the fans.
Well, he's definitely it's been coached to him, the style of football that he started with. The other thing is we need to be concerned about is Gassama seems to be a kind of renegade. He's doing his own style he's doing the traditional style of winger, and it's working. It's great. What if he gets injured?
Yeah, I mean, who have we got? I mean, again, Mikey Moore. He's a really good player. He really, really is. I know he's only turned 18 and whatnot, right? But he's a really good player. Now, he's not hit the heights at Rangers at all, and that part of that's on him as well. But again, as we said in this show, and our viewers have pointed out, there must be a clause in his loan contract where he has to play a certain amount of games.
Aye,
Are we really relying on an 18-year-old for 75? Let's say he has to play 70% of the matches. We face a financial penalty or whatever it is, because that's what it is these days. Then are we really relying on a 17-18-year-old in all these big games? And again, that comes down to the man. The manager's chosen that option.
Well, Gordy, I want to keep this to half an hour, mate, because I know you're busy today. Now, that finishes it off nicely, because that all comes down to the manager and the management of the club. And so far, from what I've seen, it is way below the expectations of Rangers Football Club. Lastly, do you see us being able to get better with this, or do we have to do is it a call? For me, it's got to be a call. I don't know what the fans do yet, because we're looking at a protest, probably like a boycott. But we're going to have to do something to get action, I think, because I really don't see it improving.
Well, as I've alluded to, right, it will get better, right? It will get better because it literally can't get any worse. And we will pick up wins. We'll probably beat Falkirk, right? But it won't like we beat Livingston. It won't be a great display. But what will happen is we'll get wins, but it'll be papering over in the cracks, and it'll be delaying the inevitable. Because even if we do win the first time, Russell Martin could win against Falkirk. But if we don't get a result against Dundee United at home, then it just starts again. I can't see Russell Martin getting out of this hole with the fans. Probably quite right. I think it's too far gone now, and I think it's just delaying the inevitable.
After Sunday, there's an international break. That's the time for me to have a new manager in and give him a week and a half or whatever he's got to get the players ready and to get them to rejuvenate them again. How many times have we said this? But I just think it's got to be done now. And I think we're going to get to a point very, very soon now, probably Sunday, where the support are going to have to force us. It won't be nice, but it's going to have to happen.
Yeah. Just want to reference quickly, so I know we want to wrap up, but I'm not necessarily in favour of a boycott, because that could potentially harm the pubs and the clubs, supporters clubs, the coach drivers, coaches, everything involved in the kind of microeconomy of a football match. If fans just don't go to the game, just stay at home. So that's a big reason for me why I'm not in favour of a boycott. However, it's getting to the stage now where it's difficult to see any other option, because the manager's not listening, the board aren't listening. So yeah, it's just a difficult time.
It's a chat for another time. We'll have a chat about it another time. But obviously the support are thinking about it. We're thinking about it. They're going to have to do something, and something quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, mate. Have a good day. I'll catch you later on. Thanks for your contribution. Always appreciated. And win, lose or draw, always remember.
We are
people.
Bye.